Good evening, and welcome to Having a Drink with Mink. I am your host, Jason Mink, and thanks for tuning in to our 2,500 subscribers special. Alright, technically we passed that number a while back, but hey, I've been busy. Between work at the comic book shop, finishing up my latest novel, and all of my philanthropy, I barely have time to swim in my room full of gold coins. However, 2,500 subscribers is a milestone worth noting, a landmark, if you will. So, let's get to it. I hope you have a nice drink in hand because the fun starts now. We begin with some new mans, specifically Inhumans. Released just in time for the holidays, these Terrigen-enhanced heroes are part of the Marvel Legends line of action figures. Longtime viewers know Migos are my first love, but let's admit it, they're pricey, delicate, and drink entirely too much. Conversely, Hasbro's been grinding out these 6-inch offerings for more than a decade now, so I've built up a nice little collection. We begin with the Black Bolt Triton 2-pack. It comes in a sturdy window box that lets you see what you're getting, and it's not a bad spread. King Black Bolt comes with 2 sets of wings, 2 additional sets of hands, and 1 alternate head. Being less regal, Triton is shorted, getting only 1 extra head and an additional set of swimmy hands. The back of the box features some classic comic artwork by Gil Kane and Dan Adkins. Here's Black Bolt beside Hasbro's original version, and there are some clear differences. For a start, the new BB is built on the Vulcan body mold, making him a bit taller than his counterpart. No short king here. Below the ankles, he's rocking what appear to be a pair of Crocs. Hey, I'm not the first guy to say it. Black Agar is sporting his usual silver wings, which never seem to work out great. Hasbro's insistence on using hard plastic instead of vinyl or fabric makes posing these a joyless task. Oh sure, they look alright situated just so, but after more than a decade at bat, this should be more than a bunt. Here's Mr. Boltagon with the alternate head. While the paint and sculpt are stronger here, the lack of Kirby Crackle on the tuning fork is a huge downgrade. Also, the overall quality control isn't brilliant, as his leg fell right off. Good thing he can fly, huh? Moving on, and guess who? Doing as Mrs. Paul's fish stick, it's Triton. This is Hasbro's first time tackling the Finian human, and they more or less nail it. As you can see, Triton is covered in scales, as befitting an undersea dweller. And while they are very clean, the lack of variation feels a bit phoned in. Consider the lizard beside you. His scales aren't all exactly the same shape and size. Nature likes to mix it up. And while Kermit might struggle with his verde shade, Triton finds it easy being green, mostly because he's been cast in candy apple-colored plastic. This is contrasted by some nice purples, metallic and otherwise. Since there's no previous Triton to look at, let's bring in this happy fellow. In spite of both being green and scaly, Triton shares no parts with Nutty Norman here, which is good to see. Too often Hasbro takes the cheap way out with reuse, and that's a bitter pill to swallow at this price point. For all that, I'm pretty sure these started life as Captain America boots, and those are pretty big shoes to fill. Here's Triton with his alternate head, which not only features a rebreather, but more varied and exaggerated scales. Oh, sure. Now you do it. Next up, it's Medusa and Gorgon. While these twin packs are an expedient way of building teams, getting 2 back-to-back has left my bunghole whistling in the wind. More comic art on the side panel with an identical layout to the first set. We begin with the Queen, Medusa. She comes on the new X-Factor Jean Grey body, which is a splendid choice. Hasbro has really upped its game when it comes to female figures in the past few years. Here she is next to some other recently released gals in the line, showing a little leg. There have been 2 previous versions of Miss M, and both were crap. There's no question this one is an improvement, but the hair still makes her super back heavy. Even worse, Hasbro neglected to make her hair long enough to support her. The figure comes with a swappable faceplate, which can be a bit of a shock the first time it falls off. Yeah, that would turn me to stone for sure. Last, but certainly not least, it's Gorgon. No bull. Well, okay, maybe some, specifically the lower half. Big G here is best known for his powerful hooves, and these are keenly realized. However, unless he's standing in a neutral pose, the figure can be a pain to balance. Gorgon towers above his inhuman brethren, which is problematic. Sure, he's always been the big guy on the team, but this figure is wildly oversized, making him more in scale with Marvel Select figures. Here he is taking on the Marvel Select Hulk, although I'm not liking the odds on this one. Maybe he should use the included mace to put a little more oomph into it. So there you have it. It's a nice set, but far from complete. Here's the team with fellow Inhuman Karnak, who was released a few years back. I still need Crystal and Lockjaw, but those two will have to wait until next year, as my wallet is whooped. Next up, one of my favorite segments on the show. Lots of cool stuff comes across my desk at the store, but I just don't have room for everything. That said, here are 5 items that I didn't buy, but wish that I had. In 1963, 4 long-haired lads appeared on the scene and changed pop culture forever. And now, here they are, the Swingers. That's right, all your favorites are here. Juan, Claude, Gunter, and Arvid. What do you mean those aren't the right ones? Listen, your mom and I worked hard on this party, and all those English guys look the same anyway. Yeah. Just different enough to avoid litigation, these mop tops are ready to rock any birthday, bar mitzvah, or bris. Just watch what you're doing with those scissors. The colorful box is half the fun, although by the 1970s the term swingers had taken on a far different meaning. Moving up a few years, 1966 saw the release of these brilliant Marvel character pins. That's right, from our friends at Button World come these 4-color beauties. For a measly 39 cents, you too could join the Superhero Club. We begin with Cap's kooky quartet, the Avengers, with a header card that puts me in the mood for some fruit stripe gum. And did I say quartet? Looks like Hank Goliath Pym has made the scene as well. So where's Jan? Well, probably still putting on her makeup. Next up, here comes Daredevil. And hey, it's nice to see the man without fear actually smiling for a change. Poor bastard. Has no idea what's going to happen to him in the next couple decades. Quick, someone take young Frank Miller to the park and buy him a balloon and some popcorn. It's not too late to stop what's about to happen. Following on, it's the ever-loving Hulk. Just imagine your pals turning green with envy. Or is it radiation poisoning when you show up sporting this bad boy pinned to your polo? Even better, it's... Wait, that's supposed to be Hulk's big toe, right? Right? Someone get Stan Lee on the phone. Iron Man wasn't exactly a household name in the 1960s, but still had enough cachet to earn himself a button. And while the pin itself is fine, how about the hokey header card? Far from the teched-out designs of today, this old-school logo reflects a rougher-hewn take on the hero, complementing the character art nicely. You've come a long way, baby. Then it's the king of the swingers, the mighty Thor. Trini Lopez got nothing on this cat. And it looks like the guy doing the logos has had a little too much cough syrup. This font doesn't exactly scream Nordic to me. Thor himself is happy enough, and why not? When thou hast a hammer, every problem is but a nail. No collection would be complete without old you-know-who. Spider-Man was a no-brainer for the pin treatment, even if his artwork was substandard. Marvel would get its act together in the next few years, offering product with art by comic creators Jack Kirby and others, but these pins are a charming example of a time when Marvel was just a scrappy upstart trying to claw out space in a crowded market. By the mid-1970s, Marvel had succeeded and then some, with branded product on store shelves across the country. These Spider-Man figural banks were pretty popular, their blow-molded nature making a big impact at low cost, an excellent strategy in the cash-strapped disco era. While the paint applications were minimal, it was the sculpted detail that did most of the heavy lifting, with a colorful sticker slapped on the back for the easily confused. I remember seeing some older kids burn one of these in the park one day. The trauma still haunts me. When you're talking trauma, few characters have experienced quite as much as Larry Talbot, aka the Wolfman. Now you can walk in Lon Chaney Jr.'s paw prints with this official Universal Studios Kane replica. Modeled after the film prop, this high-end piece looks killer and has some real heft to it to boot. I'll admit this one had me sorely tempted, but my officially licensed Patrick McNee umbrella is due any day, and I only have so many hands. Wrapping things up, and we've all seen camp 80s vampire classic Fright Night, right? But did you know there was a computer game based on the movie? What's even wilder, the box art emulates the film's home video release. That's so cool, Brewster. Sadly, that's where the fun apparently ends, as the game itself is repetitious and uninspired. Now, I can't all be Maserati. Still, it's great for what it is, a pop culture crossover at a time when just about anything seemed possible. Now, with that out of the way, the comics. This is an especially motley batch of reprints, rescues, and beta readers, but as you know, gold is where you find it. Let's start with this absolute wash rag of a copy of I Love Lucy. I'm not the biggest fan of the Ricardos, but when Lucy proposed the gang go on a well-deserved vacation, I thought I'd tag along. Little did I realize we were headed to the testing range. Yes, back in the good old days before guard towers and cyclone fencing, you could just drive out and have yourself a time. Sure, you might lose some dinnerware in your picnic basket, but it could be worse. Just look at what's happening in the next field over. Born in 1970, I missed the era of the cowboy comic. However, I have come to appreciate their charms as an older reader. No slight on Monty Hall here, but the real star of this book is legendary character actor Gabby Hayes, portraying himself. Trust me, it's harder than it sounds. Here Gabby orders a new Indian Scout uniform from a mail-order catalog, and hilarity ensues. Heavens indeed. It hurts just to look at. He heads into town only to get razzed by the local boys, ending up on the receiving end of this umbrella. Hope that hat of his is padded. In spite of his status as the perpetual guest star, Gabby was popular enough to headline his own book. In the fashion plate, he gets into more clothing-oriented shenanigans, stepping up to help this failing formal wear salesman. Talk about your poor business decisions. Ever try to ride a horse in a ball gown? No good. It doesn't help when ornery varmints are shooting at you. Talk about low down. They even take pot shots at the dog. Elsewhere in the issue is the cowpoke's nightmare, presumably brought on after eating a plate of Gabby's infamous 5-alarm chili. Last thing you'd expect to find out on the range is a big old gorilla. And that's how they get you. After all, the natives are wise to them, so you'd have to extend your parameters if you're a primate with a penchant for mauling people. Well, chili's better for breakfast anyway. Here's an issue of Rex Allen, Cowboy at Large. If it's swell, it must be Adele. Dig that lovely back cover photo, suitable for framing. Not to be outdone in the offbeat sidekicks department, meet Gummy Malloy. That's right, back when men were men and teeth were simply a phase you went through. And speaking of swinging, here Gummy proposes a little, Old West style. Careful, fellas, you never know who's in that bush with you. Joe Simon and Jack Kirby redefine comic books, moving effortlessly from action to western and even romance. This coverless copy of Young Romance was quite the find. Meet Gloria, a stuck-up young gal who just won't let her hair down. When she does agree to go out with Jim, he taunts her, goading her into breaking her glass and scarring his face with it. Instead, she chucks her grape juice at him. Jim, however, thrives on public shame and gives her a big old unsolicited kiss. Hey, Welch's is so good, you just want to share. Meanwhile, the poor soda jerk is left cleaning up the mess. As if wearing the paper hat wasn't bad enough. Then it's over to DC Comics, where they ask the musical question, how can I win when I love a loser? Presumably the answer is inside, if you can get past all the mustaches. Seriously, there's more lip hair on display here than at a Foghat concert. Listen, I'm no stranger to the mustache myself, but I never expected anyone to actually kiss me. I mean, you gotta know the limits. This issue also has some stylish art from contributor Elizabeth, whose work adds some visual flair to an otherwise dull as dishwater offering. Here's a newer book I picked up, yet still old, a reprint of X-Men number 130, featuring the first appearance of the Dazzler. A jump-the-shark moment for Marvel, or do you actually dig this disco-era diva? Let us know in the comments section below. John Byrne provides the art and mutton chops for this issue, giving us the first appearance of Jean Grey as the Black Queen. This was an especially memorable era for the book, back when characters were still being developed and not simply exploited. Unless Dazzler's skin-tight silver bodysuit is exploitative, in which case I'll recall my previous statement. Instead, I'll cede the rest of my time to this ROM ad, which still stands up as a piece of dynamic composition, in spite of his skin-tight silver bodysuit. Let's stick with John Byrne for a moment and consider this fantastic $4 bin score. Byrne wasn't shy about incorporating other aspects of the Marvel Universe into his books, frequently having guest stars bound through on the way to their own adventures. Here's Daredevil, just swinging along minding his own business when he finds himself striking an invisible wall high above the street. A death sentence for many, but DD is no mere man. He will, however, ruin your clean laundry. Inside the Baxter building, in an upside-down Alicia's wearing one of those gravity-defying skirts. Hey, do you want to be the guy to tell the Thing you saw his girlfriend's underpants? The poor gal is forced to listen to Negative Zone, meanie, and nihilist monologue, but it could be worse. He could read you some of his poetry. Outside, more guest stars just kind of wander in the form of Avengers Wasp and the She-Hulk, who are out looking for a suitable apartment for Jenny. However, when she hurries to investigate the sudden disturbance, Shulky finds herself bouncing off the same invisible wall as Daredevil, only a little less gracefully. What a revoltant development. This issue of Marvel Team Up caught my eye mostly because I'm a big Batroc the Leaper fan. He's just so very French, no? A portal opens up on a busy Manhattan street, disgorging this nasty brute. Spidey swings in to deal with the situation, but before he can tail the fleeing creature, more figures emerge from the portal. First, it's the Falcon and some groovy chick, quickly followed by a cowboy, some randos, and no less than Captain America himself. Bet you wish you'd just kept on swinging, huh, Webhead? Simultaneously, Batroc is enjoying his ill-gotten gains. Well, he's trying to, but Caspar the butler is killing the vibe. When the clumsy manservant accidentally drops some dishes, the Leaper does what Leapers do, booting the butler clean through a plate glass window. However, he soon learns you can't kick all your problems away, funny sound effects or not. Here's a nifty addition to my teen humor collection. I'd never heard of Sugar Bowl before, but when I saw this Cherry Fasano cover, I just had to snag it. Released in January 1949 by Famous Funnies, it features our modern juniors. When Birdbrain makes the acquaintance of neighbor Notes at the record shop, he flips his lid. However, when he mistakenly thinks she's into classical music, he trades all of his hemp jazz platters for money to buy some long hair music. Later that night, she calls him a square, a real L7. Seems she thought he was with it. Flipping on the radio, she tunes in some tones that really move her, the very records Birdbrain sold for scratch. What a maroon. Next up, it's Ted the Tattler. He's the gossip columnist for the school paper, don't you know? Say, what's in the pipe, Ted? I don't want to jump to any conclusions, but I think this kid's on the dope. Guess he knows a lot of jazz musicians. Speaking of smoking, seems it was all the rage back in the day. Eager to prove he's no mere child of the lovely Wendy, Buster decides to act like a grown-up. He buys a big cigar to smoke in front of her. Let's hope she's not a student of Freud. Light-headed and ill from the stogie, he mistakes her mud pack for a death mask and, well, there you have it. Speaking of Riverdale, these two look familiar. I guess you could make the argument that any blonde and brunette pair are reminiscent of Betty and Veronica, but don't let Joan and Sandra hear you say that. They'll hurt you. Seriously, these two are violent. While things start off as merely catty, by the end of the 5-pager, they're scratched, bruised, and still clawing at one another. In the end, they're carted off, presumably to get the help they so desperately need. I was also lucky enough to add another issue of Tippy Teen to my collection. While Tower comics aren't exactly rare around here, you don't see many of the humor titles. In Taking the Plunge, Tippy and Go-Go hit the beach, and while Go-Go's there for the sun and the sand, Tippy's there to keep the other girls away from lifeguard Tommy Trippett, her boyfriend. And while most scatter at this display, rival Peggy is only emboldened. She's going to spend some time with Tommy, even if she has to pretend to drown to do it. What's funny is, this is more or less the same story I reviewed a few months ago in Timely's Cindy 38. I'd heard these teen humor comics recycled storylines, but it's still a bit of a shock to come across. At any rate, Tommy attempts to resuscitate her, something Peggy enjoys entirely too much. Heck, I feel dirty just looking at it. To cleanse the palate, let's crack open Woolworth's new Christmas book, Santa Comes to the Big Top. Beginning life as a humble 5-and-dime store, Woolworths evolved into a retail giant. For many, the store was synonymous with Christmas, thanks to its presence and ubiquity. Giving away free comics certainly didn't hurt either. Okay, it's more of a comic catalog hybrid, but you'll see. Petey and Peggy are the luckiest kids in the world, and not just because their dad is ringmaster of the circus. No, it turns out Phineas the Pelican and all of the circus animals are getting ready for Santa's arrival, and the kids get to help. Speaking of animals, you can get this box of 20 scratch-proof, safe, silent plastic animals in a fun barn-shaped box. Huh. What are the odds? In spite of all their preparation, it seems the circus animals neglected to write Santa a letter. How will he know where to find them? Petey and Peggy volunteer to tell him, and, ensconced in Phineas's beak, fly off towards the North Pole. Unfortunately, this rather odd aeronautical phenomena is detected by the Air Force, who send a fighter jet. The pilot, obviously horrified, opens fire, and who could blame him? He's not playing games. But you can, as Woolworths has a great selection of games. Chinese checkers, Treasure Island, Uncle Wiggily. What, no Foxy Grandpa? Oh well. Our hapless trio managed to escape, stopping at Fleecy Floyd's Clown Burger stand for directions. Say, a Cloud Cola would hit the spot right now. Elsewhere, all hell is broken loose, as old St. Nick has been abducted by the Bogglebirds. Oh man, I knew I shouldn't have eaten those brownies I baked for Santa. Good thing I can unwind with some American logs. What, you remember them being called Lincoln Logs? Yeah, well this is Woolworths. You'll take what you can get, and you'll like it, kid. And just like that, we've reached the end. Thanks to everyone who's subscribed over the years. It's been a wild ride. Thanks for joining us, and stay tuned. There's more stuff to come. I am Jason Mink, and I'll see you next time.